and he can hammer it with that righty shot.
Myers behind the cage, got the C on his jersey. The only captain, only time in the history of this program they've had just one captain, and it's Jack Myers, the senior from Bethesda. Really good look at goal. That was a great look by Jason Knox. Buckeyes even it up.
You see on this goal, Knox is a big lefty. He uses his deception. Here, the goalie thinks he's going high. He uses deception to hide that stick and bury it low.
And I love the release point too, because Knox, I've watched a lot of his shooting. He's a lefty from Canada, so there's a lot of three-quarter release in his game, but that was straight overhand. When you're 6'4", and you release from that high point there, a lot of times goalies think you're going high, right? He's a big guy, stick is high, Entenmann thinks high, and he sneaks it low.
Ground ball picked up by Blake Island, freshman. Gets it in the offensive end. Buckeyes deking like they were subbing out. Now they finally do.
And the big matchup is Myers, 2 in red, against Fake, 7 in white. You don't want to get into the body with Chris Fake. He is built like a bowling ball and loves to get physical. So if you're Jack Myers behind the cage, you want to use your speed and your length to get separation against Fake.
Myers just dumped off that pick. Now he's got a shorty on him. Watch out here. Nice job by Ben Ramsey pushing him out on the play.
It's good defense.
Still plenty of time on the shot clock. Tried to get it to Shean cutting inside, just couldn't handle the pass.
That's good patience there by Myers. I think he had his eyes up the whole time. He didn't force a look when he didn't beat his matchup to begin with. Got the short stick, and then he drew the eyes of the defense.
He did, and Kobe Smith, this is really his first game back starting, so it's going to take some time to get the rust off. But if you're Notre Dame's defense, playing the pick is the most important thing today, because Ohio State will pick on offense as much as any team in the country. You talk to Coach Myers, he wants like 30 picks in a game.
He said, absolutely, you will see 30-plus picks tomorrow. He was emphatic about it, so get ready for it. Walker trying to get to the middle of the field on Camille. Pat Kavanagh comes into this game leading the country in assists per game. Dobson. Double team, can't shake him. McCahon beats his man initially, then he gets a triple team and gets hammered.
This is masterclass in terms of doubling and then recovering, right? You send the double, but can you recover? Can you deal with the quick ball movement of Notre Dame? And in that case, that was fantastic defense by Ohio State.
Flag down too, right at the point where we had a defender going out of bounds. That was Jacob Snyder, and he saved it out of bounds. Let's check on the flag. Yeah, he had the push against Kavanagh.
So this is great defense throughout the entire possession. The doubles, the physicality, the ground ball play. And then you see the push by Pat Kavanagh. Both Kavanaghs now have been to the box with pushes. I mentioned they're aggressive on the ride. Refs calling it tight.
See Matt Caputo, 31 on this man-up unit. He's gotten a lot of run. Freshman at attack for Ohio State. Played his first game against Cornell last week as a freshman. Scored 2 goals. That had to hurt. Colby Smith's shot blocked in front by Brian Tevlin.
Plays with a long stick on man down. Talk about versatility. 12 in white. The Yale grad transfer. Short stick midfielder, plays both ways. On man down, they give him a pull.
Timeout on the field. Early going here in South Bend. Ohio State, Notre Dame, all knotted up, 1 apiece.
We've listened, united, and taken action. Yet our effort has only just begun. In the ACC, creating meaningful change matters. We encourage everyone, in your own way, throughout each day, to help make this world decent, fair, and honorable. From our campus to your home and community, we can do this. United, one interaction and one conversation at a time.
I do anything for you, dear. Anything for you mean everything to me. I know that I go anywhere for your smile.
When it comes to your active dog's food, the choice is clear. Purina Pro Plan Sport fuels their strength and stamina so they can take on life's most epic adventures. PetSmart, anything for pets.
State Notre Dame, Buckeyes on a power play, extended extra man unit here on, but just for a few more seconds. See if they can get an opportunity here in the final few seconds. Up top to Myers. Now we're full strength. Defender comes on and we're 6-on-6. Scott White coming on in the field for the Buckeyes. Also gotten a lot of run and attack this year. They've been banged up on that sidecar, haven't they? They've had to use a lot of guys like White, who's been a midfielder for him his entire time at Ohio State at attack.
Precisely, Cotter, and it's asked Jack Myers to play kind of out of his comfort zone, playing above goal line extended, out of his true quarterback position behind the cage where he's surveying the offense. Because he's a bit of a chameleon, he could do a lot for this offense, but they're at their best when he's operating right here behind.
Got Napolitano checking him, trying to get free, does, but can't get a good shot off as Napolitano and fake double teamed to dislodge the ball.
That defense right there by Napolitano I thought was spectacular, because he knew when Jack Myers went above goal line extended with the right hand, he was becoming a shooter, and he got in his body, but he also disrupted his hands in terms of that release.
Jake Seymour now part of this kind of a four-man rotation, if you will, on the second midfield line that Coach Corrigan was really glowing about, talking about how great Dave played this year. And now we're getting an opportunity to see Jack Simmons, the transfer from Virginia. Brian Tevlin, we've already seen him with a long pole in his hand. He'll play with a short stick as well on the second midfield unit, number 12. That time Chris Kavanagh couldn't handle the low pass, but he'll be able to. Thought he was going to track down the GB. He does. Fresh shot clock for the Irish. That's trouble for Ohio State on defense. Riley Gray going to come down the alley. Now he switches it to skip past to Chris Kavanagh. This is trouble here on Hudgens. Just got his hands free and shoots it over the top.
You see Simmons back at X with a short stick matchup. He had 2 huge goals in the game against Maryland. I love the way he dodges and attacks his defender.
Want to welcome those of you watching Notre Dame and Syracuse women. We are here in South Bend for the Irish men's team taking on Ohio State. Chris Cotter, Charlotte North, Paul Carcaterra as well. Syracuse with the win in that game. So Irish fans hoping to get something out of this day with a big win today. And it would be a big win because they've lost 3 in a row in this rivalry to the Buckeyes. They need to change that in a hurry.
The seniors at Notre Dame under Kevin Corrigan have never beaten the Buckeyes.
That'll help. Chris Kavanagh, his first goal of the day. Irish back on top.
The ability not only to shoot off of a long feed by his brother, Pat Kavanagh, but to hammer it off that high crease angle. A lot of guys like to shoot overhand and just get the shot off, but watch the torque here. Charlotte, that's an absolute hammer on a lefty goalie.
Look at the way he drops his stick. I mean, we talked about range, creativity, but the way he can shoot from all angles and hit any part of the cage, that's an incredible release.
It's shot right off the catch. Like Cotter, that is a hard skill. In one motion, to catch that ball and to be trigger ready right there with Kavanagh, it's a beauty.
Very little Wallen could do about it in net. Stalemate at the faceoff dot. Ohio State has won all 3 faceoffs so far today. Make it 4. Blanchard's sharp. Will he take a shot? No, he gets it off to Colby Smith, who just couldn't fire it. He really wanted to. That was a case of almost shooting before you got the pass. We'll get a loose ball call here against Notre Dame and Ohio State with possession. Coach Myers letting the officials hear about it. Robert Gross, Adam Petrocarlo, and Timothy Hurlbut are officials today. Myers still getting the word in. Defender falls down. Ohio State could get an opportunity here. White just misses.
It's a good look. You know, you look at this offensive set, and you ask yourself, like, who's winning their one-on-one matchup? Who on this Ohio State team can blow by a Notre Dame defender? And Notre Dame has a big-time shutdown type defense, but the pick game of Ohio State will win it for them offensively in those matchups.
Smith really thought about it. This time he does take the shot, and Entman got a piece of it. Lefty Entman again goes down and gets a piece of it. Fresh 60-second shot clock for Ed Shean and the Buckeyes. Entman comes into this game 5th in the country in goals against, 8.74. He is a brick wall back there. Smith will fire this time. Misses. He's mad at himself, but Kark, you got to think, again, coming off his first action of the year last week, man up against Colgate. It's going to take him a while to get his legs on him and get that shot.
Shoot it or shoot. Charlotte, you know as well as anyone, when you've been shelved a little bit for an injury, the timing in terms of just your mechanics and the catch and the release, those are the hardest things.
For sure. I mean, I think it relies on your reps outside of practice, just getting comfortable again, stepping back into it all over the field.
Hi, everybody. Charlotte North is with me and Paul Carcaterra this week. Glad to have you here. You can see I've already shed the jacket. It's fast and furious today, man. It's hot in here. It's pretty good action so far.
What do you think?
Totally. I mean, it's been scrappy all over the field. There's not a lot of settled possessions, but when we're seeing Ohio State get into settled possessions, you see a lot of that pick game that Myers was talking about. It's getting Jack Myers that short stick matchup that he wants, and they're going to cash in on it soon. Yeah,
get the short stick matchup, and when they have that short stick matchup, you don't see the pick game, but they use the pick game to kind of facilitate that type of offense. Offensively for Notre Dame, it's a lot different. They have the 2-quarterback system, and with the Kavanaghs, you saw Chris Kavanagh with that beautiful shot earlier in this quarter. It's the 2-quarterback system, but they're very different. Pat is an elite finisher, one of the best passing guys in terms of the nation, and giving a guy like Chris those opportunities too now to play both roles is elite for them.
You mentioned Chris Kavanagh with one of the goals. Let me show you all the goals if you're just joining us right now in this game. Started off, watch this hammer.
Yeah, this is a beautiful shot by Eric Dobson. We watched him in practice hammering 105 miles an hour at least. But the Buckeyes did it with Jason Knox, and I know you love this 1-2 punch as well, Charlotte.
It's incredible. I mean, how do you stop that? I think that was a great timed off-ball cut by Chris. Pat has a sixth sense for his brother cutting down the middle, and he's able to release it so quick, goalie doesn't have time to react.
And you know what's interesting about this combination? They're brothers, obviously, and they play so well with each other. And they can flip-flop those spots, too, because we've seen Pat Kavanagh as such a big-time goal scorer, but also one of the best passers in the country. But when they play with each other, there's a different level of confidence. Like, when Pat Kavanagh is behind the cage, Chris being covered is different than other teammates being covered. Like, he will jam it inside because he knows his brother will catch that.
100%, and I think when they work together, it allows them to rely less on their one-on-one dodging abilities and more on creating something together in the middle.
There's Coach Myers. Think about the last 3 weeks for him. Virginia in Florida, Cornell last week at home, now on the road to Notre Dame. Unbeaten, top 3 teams. Now Cornell lost to Penn State today. What on earth is, what's in the water there at College Station? I want to know. State College, rather, not College Station. The opposite, College Station right now. Shot over the top. Goes wanting. 4:56 remaining here in this first quarter. Shean looking to dodge on the short stick defender. That's Tevlin. Here's Smith working on Napolitano. Knox is a big, rangy, tall kid, isn't he? Tried to get that scoop pass into Shean as the shot clock wound down. Couldn't make it work, a little desperation.
His defense is pretty good under Ryan Wellner. Feisty, the defensive coordinator in his 4th year, and Kevin Corrigan has been a mainstay, obviously, for over 3 decades here, but defense is where he started winning games here at Notre Dame in terms of the simplicity, the way that they structure the defense, But it creates opportunities, I think, for their players to think freely, but they demand all the little type of ingredients in terms of their success. So it's simple, but it's not always easy for them.
Don't forget Game 3 of our triple header today on ESPN Networks. Virginia, talk about an offense that just seems unstoppable. Taking on Towson. Anish and Q going to have that call. Walker scores. Everyone's eating.
We talked about the versatility of Brian Tevlin. Maybe the most versatile midi in the country is Quinn McCahon, and he does everything. He plays defense, but he also can slice and dice and feed teammates like Bryce Walker.
You see Walker, I think the reason he got his hands free, it's that hitch. That initial hitch is what gets the eyes of the defense to freeze. Just for half a second, he comes around top side and buries a low.
Great sixth sense by Walker. That's an unbelievable point by you, too. It's like the little subtleties. The step here, the step there can make all the difference in the world. That's why I think Jake Taylor, their inside guy, is so good.
Watch out. Lynch with the face-off win. Pat thought about letting it fly. Instead, he waits for substitutions, which include Riley Gray. Jack Simmons, there's the transfer from Virginia. Coach talked a lot about his shake, quickness. Tevlin, transferred in from Yale. Pat heads up now. Van Buren giving chase. Out to Chris. Simmons looking to dodge. Nice pass. Ricciardelli couldn't finish, deflected off a defender.
You mentioned transfer and transfer. They brought in 4 key grad transfers in Tevlin and Simmons. And then you have Conlon on the defensive end. They don't all demand the ball. They're role players who understand how to play within this system and this scheme, and it's working because you have established guys, alphas on the offense in the Kavanaghs, and then you have these other pieces and guys like Tevlin and guys like Simmons who know their role.
What a great job by Langermeyer to get the ball just wide by Colby Smith. When he finds that target, that's going to be a huge thing, Paul, as you said, for Ohio State. And a great job to win the battle to the end line to keep possession. That was Jason Knox who won it for Ohio State, kept it for Ohio State. Remember, on a shot, whatever player is closer to the ball when it goes out of bounds, they'll get possession, either retaining or winning possession. Shean now on that wing. Goes back to his right. Nowhere to go. Nick Harris checking, and now he loses his footing, and the double team comes. Beautifully played, and Jose Boyer gets it for the Irish.
What a double. Offensive player turns his back. It's go time for Jose Boyer and that Irish defense.
Good to see Dr. Boyer before the game. He's got a son here. He's got a son playing at Duke.
He's taking pictures for both teams.
Right.
Got media credentials for both teams. He just changes his outfit.
Yeah.
Final minute and a half of this first quarter. Oh boy, Chris Kavanagh was waiting for that pass from McCahon. Just couldn't quite squeeze it. Dobson already scored on a hammer earlier, lefty hammer. This time good pass. Now behind the back. Wallen is able to intercept it as Ricciardelli couldn't handle it up close. Blake Island, D-Midi for Ohio State, talking to their defensive coordinator, Travis Crane, before the game. He says 34 is already their strongest player. He's a freshman. Loves his game.
You love that.
Love it, that he comes in as an 18-year-old.
Anytime a coach tells Chris Cotter, we got a guy who loves the weight room, who's one of the strongest. But as Charlotte and I both know, someone in this booth missed 2 workouts consecutive days.
Oh, you really got to put that on. Got to put
Yep.
that on blast. Checking the shot clock here as I frantically change the subject. Coach Corrigan, you think these officials are going to get worked today by Coach Corrigan and Myers? I mean, 2 of the best.
Yeah.
But look at Myers out on the field again. Working on the shot clock. both always looking for an angle. Veterans. Myers has been at Ohio State 15 years. They've played each other so many times.
Yeah, he has so much respect for Coach Corrigan in the way that he changed lacrosse in the Midwest. You see the shot clock go off at 67. It's a problem.
It's going to be an issue. Still off. Let's see if they're going to do it handheld here for a while until they fix the big clocks on either end. Both of them are out now.
I'll tell you what's encouraging, though, for Ohio State. The volume of shots Kobe Smith's getting. Although he's not canning them, it tells you that their offense is operating progression-wise the way that they want it to, Charlotte.
You know what I love is they're getting looks in transition. They're getting quality shots off. They're not going in yet, but if they can consistently take those shots and chances in transition, I think that'll be good for them. Coach Myers talked about winning all 3 phases, not just being able to score and settled, and that's a big piece of pulling out a win today here.
Because he knows, as much as he'll rely on the pick game in the 6-on-6 settled offense, he knows a way to beat Notre Dame is to beat them in transition, because when they play settled defense, they're at their best. So you have that change of pace. Like, you play really fast when you can, and when you play slower in the half-field set, there's different challenges you want to present Notre Dame.
Still working on the shot clock. Recalibrating the shot clock. Fans here at Arlotta enjoying a sunny day. You know, yesterday was brutal, windy and snowy and whatnot, and then today we awaken here in South Bend to gorgeous weather. Well, we've got the shot clock to 67. Now it's just a matter of blowing the whistle and playing lacrosse. The most important thing is that you get it right for the integrity of the game. So now we've once again taken the clock off. Charlotte, what's going on in players' minds? I'm sure you've had a game at some point in time when you had a delay like this and you want to stay warm. I mean, it's a nice day, but it's like 35 degrees out.
You got to do everything you can to stay focused. You know, what's their goal right now in this offensive set? If you're Ohio State, you see the time on the clock. You want to get one more in before heading into the second. And I think, you know, what's key for them against this incredible defense is being able to wear them down. You know, using a majority of the shot clock, tiring this defense out, forcing them to slide and then recover and get mismatches.
Yeah, beautifully said. You look at the game clock at 55. The shot clock was at 67, so you can essentially bring it down to the end of the quarter. I always like to wear them down a little bit, like you said, but I like to attack around 15 seconds, because if you shoot and you have the backup, you get that second opportunity.
Dillon Magee, freshman out of Allen, Texas. There you go, Charlotte.
Let's go.
Texas guy, 43. Coach loves his athleticism.
He's got some shake.
Tough, too. He's not the most fluid guy with his stick skills, maybe like a Canadian like Jason Knox, but he just uses his body so well and likes contact.
Now to Myers with 20 seconds. Fake on him. See the physicality between those two warriors now battling it. Myers got to the middle. Trying to get inside, it does, and Smith was able to get a shot. That would have been a tough shot to go, but he got it at point-blank range. 8 seconds remaining, Notre Dame with a chance.
You saw the body defense by Chris Fake. You can't get into Seven and White's body. You're not going to win those physical type of one-on-one attempts. You got to use your quickness. You got to use your length. You're Jack Myers.
Liam Entman content to just hold it and let the final horn sound. Notre Dame scored first, added a couple of others. Dobson, look at that lefty hammer, beats Walland. Knox came back for the Buckeyes, but it's 3-1. Irish on top after the first quarter. Start of the second quarter, 3-1, Notre Dame on top of Ohio State. Irish trying to break a 3-game losing streak in this series. And of course, they're going to lean on the Kavanagh brothers. Chris from Pat in the first quarter. And this goal right here, the 100th career assist for Pat Kavanagh, 5th Irish player to do it.
You know, his true freshman year in 2020, the COVID year, he was a goal scorer. He came back in 2021, you saw the full game. And now you give him his brother. It is ridiculous in terms of the potential of this offense because it's two quarterbacks who play so well off each other, Charlotte. Pat the passer, Chris the goal scorer.
It's beautiful to watch. I mean, you see that off-ball cut time by Chris. I think all the eyes are on Pat as a Dodger. He's deserved that respect, and you see Chris off-ball time it up perfectly and release that beautiful shot.
The key thing with quarterbacks, the elite ones, the Connor Schellenbergers and the Pat Kavanaghs, if you decide, like, okay, we're going to play Pat Kavanagh or Connor Schellenberger as a passer today, they feast on you as Dodgers. You play him as a Dodger, and everyone's eyes are peeled to him, he's going to pick you apart inside with passes like that.
Walker trying to dodge on the shorty island. Back to Chris Kavanagh. Hudgens checking him. The Army transfer. Didn't even play lacrosse last year, so coach said he hadn't even played his best game yet. And there you go, knocking the ball out of the air to cause the turnover. Look at those strides.
Yeah, Marcus Hudgens is listed at 6'1". His wingspan and his strides, he looks like a 6'5" guy out there, doesn't he?
Right, he does. He looks really big. And that was his deal at Army. He was a shutdown guy at Army, All-American.
First team All-American potential, and Bobby Van Buren, 44 for the Buckeyes, oftentimes gets the #1 assignment. It tells you how strong that unit can be.
Borda, back to his left, he'll shoot. Entman is there, saw it all the way. 5 saves for Entman. Here's McCahon, good outlet.
Guess who's back? Look who's inside.
Back again?
Yep, 13 is back.
Oh boy.
The ultimate finisher, Jake Taylor, tore his ACL in the fall. He's back for opposing teams. You don't want to hear that, Charlotte.
He's an elite goal scorer. I mean, his hands. I don't know if I've ever seen someone with the hands inside of a defense like him.
Pat nowhere to go. Now he gets his hands free. Wallace makes the initial save but can't stop the rebound. Brother Chris, that's goal number 2. Clark, the knack for being in the right place at the right time is unbelievable with these two.
It's toughness, too. You want to junk it up in the middle. Pat with a nice little shake, and he uses his left hand. Keep in mind, he's a right-handed player. Shows you his versatility. Little bro's like, all right, I'll pick up your trash.
You know, a lot of people talk about the Kavanagh's ability to dodge, pass, and score, but what I love about them, we mentioned it a little bit on the ride, but it's their ground ball ability. That stat is through the roof. It's impressive. It shows, you know, how they're hustling out there.
Every Kavanagh, they're all elite on ground balls. Their oldest brother, Matt, was a junkyard dog. When the ball was on the turf, he was everywhere. I think the best ground ball in the history of Notre Dame lacrosse, Matt Kavanagh at Hofstra, the end line in 2014 against Albany in overtime. Best ground ball ever.
It's one of those things where the face-off men are always the leading ground ball guys on these teams, but then I always look to see who's the #1 guy that isn't the face-off guy, and at Notre Dame it's an attackman. That never happens anywhere else, and it's always one of the Kavanaghs. Turnover for Notre Dame. Buckeyes with a chance to break this 3-goal scoring streak for the Irish in this game. Connor Camille brings it in for the Buckeyes. Now they'll sub out, bring in Dillon Magee. Looks like Mitchell Pehlke's coming in as well for Ohio State, part of that second midfield unit.
We mentioned earlier, Cotter, Kobe Smith, his first start back, 4 in red. He had 6 shots in that first quarter, so the opportunities for this offense are there. It's just a matter of converting.
Jack Myers on the short stick. Played very well. Now the help comes. Buckeyes trying to rotate it. There's Smith. Just couldn't get the shot off as he was defended by Chris Conlon. Talk about maybe underrated transfers. Conlon out of Holy Cross had 40 caused turnovers, 40 GPs last year. Nothing for the Buckeyes here. Nick Harris doing a fantastic job, and Smith just has to let it go. It's an easy save for Entman.
That's not a good shot. His 7th shot was forced. Yeah, you're getting later into a shot clock, a little bit of desperation mode, but that is a result of spectacular team defense communication. I mentioned earlier with this defense, simple but not easy. And the not easy part is they hold themselves accountable to every little passing window, every little slide, every little help call. All those little things add up, Charlotte.
Ohio State's getting the mismatch. They're getting switches on this pick game like we talked about, but they're recovering so fast, it's making those 2 passes out impossible to get a shot off.
Griffin Westlin, 31, the veteran in the game. Plays a lot of man up, giving him opportunities on even strength. 32 seconds to shoot. Buckeyes remain on defense. Westlin will put it in play. As Greg Langermeyer checking him. Now back to Pat. Trying to go big little here. Van Buren goes over the top.
See, Bobby's a lefty and against Pat the righty, so he's playing to his strengths. So Van Buren wants to flush Kavanagh up that right goal line extended area.
That time Simmons missed the target.
Here's one of the best one-on-one matchups you'll see in college lacrosse.
Shot clock to 4 seconds. Irish will just dump it in the corner, set up their ride. Snyder back to Wallen as Langermeyer brings it across the midfield line. Remember, you have 20 seconds once you gain possession to clear it past the midfield line.
Ohio State is a team that typically isn't a big north-south dodging midfield type of offense, and that plays into their strength because Notre Dame erases teams that like to send middies down the alley. You got to be able to jam the inside if you're Ohio State. Trust your sticks, trust those small windows, and take some chances jamming it inside.
White over to Borda. Now back to Shean. Shean looking to work on Tevlin. Here's Borda inverted. He comes upfield, tried to pass it to a cutting Myers, can't get it to him, and Smith is able to track it down. Still 20 to shoot.
Those are the type of looks, though, you'll get against this Notre Dame defense.
Myers coming upfield against Bergmaster. Question marks it. Entman. Sharp. Good outlet to Tevlin, too. Here come the Irish.
I like what Kevin Corrigan's doing with Jake Taylor, 13 and white, giving him some reps, taking him out. Now he's back in the game, getting him acclimated to full speed type game-like scenarios. It's a guy who's really only 8 months off of knee surgery.
Kavanagh is now behind the cage. Here's Walker. Already has a goal with the left here, off the pipe. Buckeyes can run, that's Camille. Walker giving chase. Will they move quickly? Try to get it to Johnny Cool. Wasn't cool enough on that pass.
That's a tough turnover.
Like we talked about, I think those are the critical moments right now for Ohio State. They got to be able to capitalize on a couple of those in transition.
Yeah, 4-1, you turn the ball over. You're playing a lot of defense. Now you're back at it again.
I'm just cheesed because that was going to be the goal call of the year if Johnny Cool was able to get himself a long pole goal.
You loved his headshot, didn't you?
Go look at it. Go to the Ohio State website. Check out Johnny Cool.
You thought it had a little John Travolta.
Yeah, Tony Manero. Right, I work on my hair a long time, and he hits it. He hits my hair like I expect him to be walking around Columbus on the short end carrying a gallon of Glidden with a slice.
It's so good. Between you and our producer, John Kettering, like both of you have really good John Travoltas. Charlotte's like, you know, first weekend on the job, traveling with us. She's hearing all these impersonations. And
You might have a career in impersonating people.
She's like, who's that John Travolta guy? Oh, it's that Scientologist. All right, that's right. Kavanagh gets under his defender. Oh, he couldn't finish it, though. Thought he might get a push in the back there, too, and didn't get it. I'm sure he was looking for one. He is. He slams his cross down on the field. No call, though, and we go the other way.
He slams his cross because he's upset that he didn't finish.
Yeah.
I think he wants the call, but he knows normally, Charlotte, when he gets inside, like, that's the money zone.
That's an All-American type defender you're going against, and he has the ability to put the brakes on an inside roll. That's a very hard move, especially when you're going against a long pull. I mean, on the women's side, we don't have the same approach when we're approaching a defender with a long pull, but same kind of footwork. You're trying to stop on a dime to get to the middle of the field.
And get inside and then continue your angle upfield. The Kavanaghs, they don't fear anyone. These two young men are as tough as it gets. Like matchups, like, yeah, I'm playing against a potential first-team All-American. I could care less. I'm going at him.
Pehlke. Roots his right hand and got free and scores. The senior from Leesburg, Virginia, with his third on the year. Buckeyes had to have it.
It's been tough sledding for the Buckeyes in terms of winning one-on-one matchups. Who's going to be the guy? You go to the second midfield. You go to a senior who's been around the block. Mitchell Pehlke says it's me. Ohio State not ducking the Irish.
Back here in South Bend, you see the two Kavanagh brothers, two of the four Kavanagh brothers. And Charlotte, when you think about, Karkin, I know you did things at Boston College that nobody had ever done in the women's game before. When you think about the creativity and some of the things you want to bring to the game, and you see a piece like that, what comes to your mind?
You know, personally, when I was growing up, I was very inspired by the Thompson brothers. I watched a lot of tape as much as I could get my hands on of them. And the way they use their stick in a different way inspired me to have fun with it. Made me question, what can I do? What more can I do? And to see the Kavanagh brothers inspire everyone watching at home and all the young kids out there go in their backyard and try those moves out, it's inspiring to me, and I'm excited to continue to watch them today do their thing.
It's what pushes the game forward. Creativity, improv, pushing the limits. There are hundreds and thousands of young boys and girls in this country now that are playing the sport of lacrosse that are trying to do things like the Kavanaghs, trying to do things like you do. And that's what pushes the next generation, right? The creativity part. Like, what can I do? Like, how can I take my mind and push this game a little bit different? What hasn't been done before? And that's why the game is so lucky to have the Thompsons, the Kavanaghs, the Charlotte Norths of the world.
Not to mention, it takes their game to a whole nother level. It makes them that much more dangerous, and almost you can't count them out. No matter what angle they have, they can still get a clean, high percentage shot off with some creativity.
McCahon. Dobson puts his shoulder into the defender. Now up comes, but he still gets the shot off, and Wallen is sharp. Both goaltenders have been good today.
If he finds his rhythm, how do you defend that? Like, how do you defend that? You saw what he did, Dobson, to a defender who's 6'2", 210 pounds. The guy was on his heels.
Admittedly, not his best start to the season in terms of a shooting percentage. Coach told us that yesterday when we watched him in practice. He stayed afterward and just was ripping shots, lefty and righty.
He's a grinder. He'll figure it out, just like Kobe Smith will.
White rolls back to his left, gets the shot off. Entenmann is there. Fresh shot clock if Ohio State can pick up the loose ball. Can't do it, but it goes off an Irish defender. It'll stay with the Buckeyes.
If I'm Ohio State here, you get a reset and maybe slow it down a little. Let that defense spin. Get their legs burning before you cash in on an opportunity.
I'm really impressed with Chris Conlon, 20 in white. You were mentioning him earlier, Cotter, the transfer from Holy Cross, just his active stick. Just watch how he plays off ball. Stick's always in the right passing lane. Him and Fake, I mean, that's a nice little transfer boost. There's Fake playing defense right now on Jack Myers.
Nowhere for Myers to go. Back to Shean. Shean tried to get his defender on skates, but here comes the help from Fake, and they knock the ball out. Oh, but they turn it over. This is going to be trouble. Knox picks it up. Luckily, the Irish were able to get back in the hole. First failed clear of the game from either team, so it's been really sharp, that part of the game for both of these squads today, as we have just 3:20 left to go before that half. But Charlotte, here to your point again, this Notre Dame defense, the legs have got to be burning here a bit.
Yeah, this is where you got to capitalize. If you're Ohio State, I want to see them go back to that pick game a little, since they're not beating their one-on-one matchups as well as they might have hoped. So to go back to that pick game, that can free your hands just for an extra second and get a better opportunity on Cage.
I couldn't agree more with you. Someone has to either win a one-on-one matchup, like take it in space and say, I'm going to do it, like Pehlke did, right? He won the one-on-one matchup. If not, the other way to get separation is the pick game. Even when you're not using the pick to be a scorer, you cause the defense to have all the eyes on the pick because of the support help. That's why a team like Ohio State should use the pick game and then look inside against a defense that's been super stingy, but sometimes there's those windows inside.
Heck of a timeout by the Fighting Irish, as Riley Gray did a great job just to keep possession. And the Irish getting the timeout with 56 seconds on the shot clock, up 2. Let's take a look at our Inside Lacrosse media poll this past week. We already know that Cornell is no longer among the unbeaten. Penn State out of nowhere. The Nittany Lions get another huge win. See Virginia and Notre Dame, the top 2 teams, in getting all the first place votes. And Duke's pretty impressive. Big impressive win over Loyola last night.
They blitzed the Greyhounds behind Andrew McAdory, who had 3 goals and 6 assists, and you put him as a quarterback, just moves to the attack position for the first year with Brendan O'Neill. That's a team, when they're rolling, they're super scary, just a little inconsistent. But you look at 11 through 20. Georgetown is a team that had some preseason hype. A lot of people thought maybe the best team in the country. They've struggled. The Ivy also, too. Yale and Penn, some early season losses to teams like Penn State. How about Penn State now? Penn State has beaten Cornell, Penn, and Yale.
Right.
They could be the Ivy champs by the end of the year.
And they were a team that was picked to finish second to last in the conference in the preseason poll. So the Big Ten right now looking very strong top to bottom.
Yeah, and one other team of note is Army. Army loses 19 seniors from a year ago. You talk about a program that knows how to develop their players in a system that Joe Alberici has established for so many years. Coach George Alice running the defense, Justin Ward the offense. They're just so in sync every single year, and you think, okay, Army loses 19 guys, and Brendan Nichtern, who's the PLL Rookie of the Year, how are they going to rebound? They're 4-1.
Seeing a former Army Black Knight here today, and Marcus Hudgens, transferred, sat out last year, didn't play any lacrosse as far as collegiately, and now suiting up, wearing number 9 in red for the Buckeyes today. Coming around the corner, that's Jack Simmons. Coach talked about how much he's got a lot of shake in him, and he showed it there. Beautiful dodge to put separation between himself and his defender, and he scores.
You know, I love when he inverts. I know Coach Corrigan loves this look. He talks about Simmons and his ability to dodge. When he can beat a matchup and the slide doesn't go, a lot of those opportunities are going to be cashed in on, and I think, you know, he's such a threat. You gotta, as a defense, you gotta start turning your head to him.
There's 2 things that pop with Simmons. He's a transfer from Virginia, a grad transfer. He never inverted at Virginia. So now you're seeing this other element to his game. Also, you turn on the tape against Maryland, he inverts for 2 goals with his left hand. This time he does it with his right. There's versatility from the back in Jack Simmons.
That second line that Coach Corrigan talked so glowingly about in our meeting earlier this week. Back to the fore with yet another goal. Loose ball hold against Ohio State on the face-off. Irish back on offense. Walker looking to attack. Snyder comes with the help, forces him back to X. Let's see if he works a little 2-man game here with Pat Kavanagh. Steady comes upfield. Now back to Pat. Still lots of time. 50 seconds on the shot clock. Kavanagh takes a peek, knows what he's got to do.
Quick slide here.
Van Buren comes back. Chris opts to make the extra pass. McCahon can't handle it initially.
McCahon has to have that in his left hand. On his outside, he's got to catch that because Pat Kavanagh knows there's an early slide. Kick it over the top to Chris. Chris knows the next pass is the pass to make. Quinn McCahon has it in his right hand there.
And this is a strong defense. You know they're going to recover quick. You're only going to capitalize on a second or two out of the pass. That skip pass was phenomenal, but you're right. You got to have that in your outside hand.
Dobson got to the middle of the field. Nice pass. Wallen goes down to make the save. Ball loose, but Wallen picks it up.
If you're Ohio State here, you have to clear, and this should be the last possession of the half. Got to go deeper into this shot clock.
Here's Borda. Waits for Magee to come on the field. Buckeyes finish up their substitutions with Scott White coming on. Again, if you're just joining us, Scott White had played a lot of attack. Now he's running out of the box along with Ed Shean because Colby Smith made his first start of the year today for the Buckeyes at attack. And number 4 has gone the distance here in the first half, and he looks good, Paul. That's a really good sign for the Buckeyes.
It is. He's just got to find his shooting stroke, but I love his aggressive approach. Not to overthink it. Okay, I missed my first couple. What am I going to do? I'm going to take a back seat. No, keep shooting.
25 to shoot. Borda now gets it to Myers. Chris Fake checking him. Now the double team and triple team comes up. Myers gets away. Can't beat Intimate. Final horn sounds. And a very entertaining first half here at Arlotta in the books. Paul Carcaterra with relaxing at halftime with the Kavanagh brothers. Can't wait to hear that. We'll look forward to Towson and Virginia. That's the third game of our triple header following our with possession.
You know, the potential for a run for Ohio State with Blanchard at the X comes into today's contest at 63%. Will Lynch struggling under 50%, so the advantage could be there in the second half if they stack the opportunities in terms of their goal scoring.
Shean on McCahn, two-way forward McCahn. Gonna log a lot of minutes today. Myers and Fake, look at that collision. We've seen a number of those today. Tried to squeeze in a pass. Borda was able to track it down. Still plenty of time to shoot, so no panic for the Buckeyes. Myers, sole captain of this Buckeye team. You know how much that means to Coach Myers. Got his hands free. Now a terrible pass, though, goes over the top. And a great play defensively, though, to prevent the over and back. And another play to get it to Knox. Here come the Buckeyes. White tries to make that extra pass to Shean, and it just can't connect.
Oh, if I'm White there, I'm pulling up and letting it go.
Totally. I mean, that's a guy who can fire it from distance. You see his productivity on the offensive end. I think I'm going with that shot there as well.
Connor, you gotta talk. You can't be out there.
Into McCann's stick. Charlotte, we were talking when we were off the air. I mean, you're not as old school as Kark. Clearly not as old school as I am. But I think you recognize the fact that on this team you got Tevlin, you got McCahon, guys that play the old school where there's less specialization. If you're a midfielder, you're a midfielder. You're running on both sides of the field.
I think what both those guys are doing is incredibly impressive. And, you know, as the game has evolved, I think there's been more specialization, like you said. In the women's game, these midfielders, wow.
There's nothing specialized about that other than the fact that it's just a lefty hammer on the run, his second of the day.
The specialized midfielder is a dying breed, as you guys are discussing. And then there's the hired gun. Guy you want to keep on the offensive end every single opportunity your team can strike. 8 and White Dobson That's special, to be able to move at full speed at that size and that technique. Bam!
Eric Dobson, our New York Life Player Spotlight. Brought to you by, of course, the fine folks in New York Life. 6'4", 220.
I think he's up to 235 in the offseason. We're at practice.
He might be up to 6'6".
Well, one of the coaches said they want to change his weight in the media guide because he wants to get some credit for that extra beef. 15 pounds is real in the offseason.
When you talk about the expansion of the game from Florida.
Just so fast, though, right? And there was that little hitch, like the little subtle, and you know that better than anyone, Charlotte, like the little hitch with his right foot there to give his body and his dodge to the left side so much more room.
What I love about him, not only his ability to shoot on the run, but his ability to slow into a dodge. That changes speed. See it again.
He just that extra step, he got that on cool, and then got closer to the goal, better angle, beat Westlin again. 2 in a row for Dobson.
Do you remember I talked about the hitch on that prior goal? He did it again. Watch him drop his right foot right here, and then he goes to the races.
Yeah, again, it's that change of speed. He's almost skip jumping, jogging into that dodge. That's what hits that next level speed. After that hitch move, for him to free his hands on the run, and that's a fast hammer on the run.
It's like a wide receiver, right, coming out of a break. You sell the inside to get outside. You sell the outside to get inside, and that's exactly what he did.
Lynch wins the draw. Here come the Irish again to McCahon. Check that, that's Tevlin on the far wing. McCahon coming in the box now. Tevlin to shoot. Stays in the field to play with Chris Kavanagh.
You know, Dobson last week against Maryland was 1 for 9 shooting, right? So it's in his head a little bit. Starting to get the extra reps in practice for him to be able to capitalize and can those type of shots. As a shooter, just changes your mentality and your confidence.
Tough angle for Walker. Westlin was there to make the stop.
Dobson has the ability to get underneath. Against Maryland, you saw that righty goal he had. He got underneath his defender on the wing. But when he gets over the top and he can let it fly, it's dangerous.
Yeah, that's his bread and butter. You know, the secondary move, the change of pace is the underneath right if they're overselling him or they're over-shading him one way. But when he wants to really get it cooking, we saw back-to-back goals.
Pehlke had a goal in that first half. Double comes. Now he skips it, but it gets deflected. McCahon comes out of there with it, being harassed. He's going to be in a little bit of trouble here.
It's one of your two-way guys.
Gets it up to Conlon. 10th turnover of the day for Ohio State. McCahon, he'll let it fire. Westlin makes the stop, but in front, Westlin again. Thought Kavanagh might get another look at it. Westlin gives chase. Look at the hustle.
What a ground ball by Chris Kavanagh.
McCahon will try it again. This time he buries it.
You want to be a complete attackman? One of the boxes you want to check? Fight, scrap after every ground ball. Watch Chris Kavanagh, 50 in white, go after this ball. Once he scoops it, heads up, and then it's go time.
You see Quinn McCahon try that shot. He gets a second chance at it, and it's all credit to the Kavanaghs. He was a little more free. He had more of a lane to really step into this overhand hammer, bottom left.
Yeah, that's a beautiful shot on a lefty goalie, and Quinn McCahon in the second opportunity, just about 30 seconds prior. It's a little higher with that shot, right? Tried to put it more like a pipe placement. This time, low and away, turn and rake.
I love those heads-up plays by the Kavanaghs. Those unsettled situations, those ground balls.
Matthew Fritz taking that draw for the Buckeyes. Earns the possession for his team. a dangerous moment right here. 5-2 at the half. The Irish have scored all 3 goals here in the third quarter. With the trouble that Ohio State has had in scoring goals, you can't let the Irish get too far out in front of them, because even if they start winning these draws, Paul, it's just going to be too big of a hill to climb.
Yeah, Travis Crane's defense has been really, really good for Ohio State this season. But when you put so much pressure, like you said, if it's possession after possession,
and you got an All-American goaltender in Entenmann making stops, it's going to be tough.
This team is frightening. I thought last year at the end of the year, for my money, they were the second best team in college lacrosse, and they didn't make the tournament, behind the University of Maryland, who had a historic year. They have all the pieces back this year, and they're better. 4 transfers, 2 on the defensive end with Conlon and Fake. You have Simmons and Tevlin playing midfield in the 2 roles. Right, Tevlin is the guy who plays on both ends, and Simmons as the inverting offensive guy. Those are just pieces to a puzzle. Then you bring back the Kavanaghs a year later, more mature. Eric Dobson, 15 pounds heavier. Liam Entenmann, a year better after playing with the U.S. under-21 team. I mean, this team checks every single box.
Simmons, one of those transfers Clark you talked about. Westlin. Tough angle, but he got his hamstring, scores.
Look at the bench. That's a 5th-year senior who hasn't had a ton of opportunities. It's Ryan Wellner's drawing it up on defense. I call that a juice goal. That's a locker room goal. Everyone's lived with a guy like Griffin Westlin for 5 years in their locker room, and it's payback in terms of the hard work.
You know what I love about their offense is, you know, you have the quarterbacks and the Kavanaghs, but you got to worry about all 6 guys out there. They're all threats. On ball, off ball, you got to worry about them. They're sneaky, just like that. Westlin cuts off ball, and he gets his hands free.
And Griffin Westlin was a multi-year starter. That just tells you about the depth and the talent that they bring in, and then they bring in a couple of transfers on top. But for him to be taking that secondary role just tells you how good and how deep they are. I thought he lost his angle, too. I thought he was going to go behind the back.
Violation on that face-off from Fritz. So the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, again on offense. It has been relentless in this third quarter. Pat back to McCahon. Chris on Hudgens, now back behind the cage to Richard Ellie. Kavanagh on Van Buren. In front, beautiful look, Dobson couldn't handle it. Wallen comes out of there with it, spinning, loses his footing, this is trouble. Richard Ellie initially gets it, but loses it after Hudgens poked it away, and now a turnover.
When we talk about having the stick in your right hand, we saw Quinn McCahon one time, wrong hand. I thought Eric Dobson, if he had it in his right hand there, he just catches, turns, and shoots. He had to catch that ball lefty, and he had to turn. He was trying to do that all in one motion. Stick to the outside.
Good punt return by the CCO to get it out of danger. Island still on the field, takes a shot. Entenmann couldn't see it. Now the shovel, and it hits the top of the crossbar. Fake loses his footing, but he was pushed down. We'll get a call here against the Buckeyes. We'll get the call. "30 seconds against Jack Myers. He'll sit in the penalty box."
Talk about checking boxes. Notre Dame's extra man offense, 53%. I always think anything around 40 is good, but they have all the pieces. And when they get Jake Taylor back too, you have an inside presence, you got an absolute hammer of a shooter in Dobson, and then the feeding and shooting of Kavanagh on the behind and the wings. That's a complete unit.
Kavanagh tried to squeeze a pass into Richard Ellie. It was deflected, so it'll stay with the Irish. Dobson now, he shoots a pass to Chris. And Chris Kavanagh scores again. The hat trick. And it's all Irish here in the second half.
We're seeing a complete game on display by the junior Eric Dobson. Struggled shooting the rock, 1 for 9 a week ago against Maryland. 2 third-quarter goals here in South Bend, and that beautiful pass to Chris Cav. The Irish are rolling.
Irish on a 9-1 run here in Arlotta to take control of this game in the third quarter. Charlotte, everybody eats on the Irish today.
You know, what I love about this offense, again, it's a 6-threat offense. It stretches the defense. It has their heads constantly turning. You talk about the Kavanagh brothers initiating it, quarterbacking this offense, but when you have off-ball guys, finishers, guys like Dobson who can stretch the D and pull up from 15 yards out, it makes it almost impossible to scout and impossible to cover.
And then man up. Beautiful pass from Dobson. Chris Kavanagh, the hat trick. Both of those players have 3 goals today.
Yeah, Dobson's not supposed to do that. Thread the needle on a pass through the heart of a defense. But they have the pieces, and Charlotte was hitting on that. When you have an inside presence, but you have to worry about Dobson, who can sling it from 15. And then you have to worry about a passer behind and a true quarterback in Pat Kavanagh. Like, what do you want me to hedge more, coach? Like, do we play him more up top, Dobson? Do we play Kavanagh behind as a passer or a dodger? Like, you just sit there scratching your head.
It's a pick your poison type situation.
Credit to Will Lynch, too. Irish have won now 9 of the last 11 draws, so they're scoring goals. It's make it take it here in the second half for Notre Dame.
Will Lynch is the big difference maker in terms of this Notre Dame team going from maybe a Final Four team to a favorite with Virginia. Like his success at the X.
Look, beautiful pass, and Wallen stones Richard Ellie right in front.
Because Cotter, when you look at the course of the first stages of the season, the only thing they haven't been really elite at is facing off. Will Lynch has been under 50%, but he's answering the bell in this third quarter.
Coach Corrigan said I need him to be cleaner, and he looks like he heard that message.
If you're Ohio State, you got to think one play at a time. You got to possess the ball. You got to get a high-quality opportunity.
I think it's also a great opportunity for individuals to say, like, okay, it's my time now to own a one-on-one matchup, because that hasn't happened outside of the Pehlke goal.
White, bouncer, too high.
This is the matchup. Like, you have one of the premier playmakers behind the cage, and Jack Myers. They need him to get that separation from Fake.
Beautifully timed double again. Can the Buckeyes take advantage, though? A little unsettled. White giving chase, loses his cross. Boyer. White didn't get out of the play apparently fast enough. Boyer wins possession on a beautiful check back to the Irish. It's another player that Coach Corrigan singled out as having just a great season. He's healthy, Kark. I know he's from your hometown. He's one of a number of legends from Yorktown.
According to you, everyone's a legend.
According to you, everyone's a legend.
It's a great town, man. I'm proud of where I'm from.
A lot of great lacrosse players.
Yeah, it's one of those towns where the community and the entire town raise the young kids. That's why it's so special. So I've known Boyer, and like, there's no generational gaps. I'm 25 years older than Boyer. We speak the same language.
Beautiful pass. Wallen comes over and gets a piece. Makes the save, man. He has been under fire, hasn't he? He's performed well when you think about it. I know he's given up 10 goals today, but he has been just, it's been an onslaught. 11 saves for Wallen. Camille was on fire there.
I like the take. I like the take, right? Charlie's taking a risk. Camille's a short stick D-midi, but the offense has been limited.
People have to honor Camille, too, in transition. He's proved himself to be a dangerous threat there. But, again, that would have been a huge energy goal for the Buckeyes.
A couple of goals on the year for Camille. Don't forget, Anish and Q standing by, Towson and Virginia. 4 o'clock on the ACC network following us. Notre Dame will host Virginia here in 2 weeks. Kark, you and I will be back.
Oh, does it mean I have to keep up with you with the meat consumption? Charlotte saw it. Can Cotter eat or what?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's gross. Myers.
I didn't think you'd want breakfast today.
That's all he had on his mind.
Right.
What we said, we're going to meet you at 9:15. Who's waiting there in the lobby?
At 9:10.
Looking at his watch. Where are they? Where are they?
Like all good breakfast places, man, if you get there too late, it's too late.
The window closes.
It closes
it's
hard.
Like the Notre Dame defense, right? Opportunity is there. You're too late with your pass.
Can't be a split second late. Another turnover for the Buckeyes. Final 3 minutes of this third quarter, that has been owned by Notre Dame. Dobson.
See there, he's countering, right? Those prior goals, it was hard jab with his right foot to get to his left. This time he jabbed with his left to get underneath the moves that you were talking about to go to his right.
Yeah, that's game sense and awareness. The defender, you know, they've scouted him. They know he likes his left. He's gotten it a few times in this game. They might start to overplay him. That's when he starts going right.
Again in transition with Ohio State. Can they take advantage of it? No quick offense. Now the ball's on the carpet. DeCiccio just, I thought he might take a shot, Card. Still might get one here, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. Now we get a push and a loose ball push against Ohio State. Just has not been their day. Ohio State has Detroit Mercy on Tuesday, then at Denver next Saturday. So another road trip for them before they begin Big Ten play at that great new facility they've got in Columbus against Rutgers on the 26th. Irish, as we mentioned, we'll have them in a couple of weeks against Virginia. They got to go to Michigan next. Loose ball tracked down by Chris Kavanagh, loses footing, pushed out of bounds though as the flag comes.
I don't know about this. Is it from the back? It's an aggressive play by Cullen Brown. I like the way that he sold out and got physical, because you have to do that with the Kavanaghs when they're going after loose balls. They're going to fight you.
Critical ground ball there. That's huge.
Take a look. Chris Kavanagh. Yeah, there was some pressure behind there. Real time, I couldn't tell. I thought that's the right call. It's 30 seconds for this extra man.
Irish 1 for 1 on this day. That beautiful feed from Dobson to Chris Kavanagh, the man up.
Better play 8. They're giving him some cushion.
Now he's up top. Over to Pat. You know you're great. You're like a Brazilian soccer player when it's just one name. It's Pat. It's Chris.
Yeah.
Look who it is, Jake Taylor. If they get him going, they might be lights out and unbeatable offensively, Charlotte.
Look at the way they get the ball out of their pockets so fast. That behind the back pass by Pat into a one-touch down to Jake Taylor on the crease. That ball movement is beautiful.
I love it. It's deception, because Pat Kavanagh has it in his right hand. Everyone thinks maybe he's going to spin it up top to Dobson. Go BTB. Heads are spinning. It's Pat, it's Chris, and it's Jake. Jake Taylor last year, Cotter, we did a game at Arlotta. It was his breakout game. 8 goals against Syracuse. When he gets back into the mix, this offense will be downright frightening, because of the complementary type of role that he'll play with both of Kavanagh's. He doesn't need to touch the ball. Jake Taylor can have the ball on his cross for 30 seconds in a game and have 8 goals.
Before that day, Jake Taylor was the catcher in the movie Major League. From that day forward, he was an attackman for the Irish. That's how everybody knew him. 8 goals on that day, out of nowhere. And the team was completely different when they went on that 6-game win streak to end the year last year with him between the two Kavanaghs. If he's healthy and he's healthy enough to play, he got more minutes last week and he's getting more this week.
Saw him sweating in practice. I mean, that inside presence. Charlotte, you're a perimeter player. When you have that inside presence, you just think different because you have more room to dodge because everyone has to respect the middle.
100%. And you see, you know, when your eyes are up as a Dodger, you know, you just want to look for that guy on the inside who's going to time it perfectly, and then they can catch anything. You're more confident as a Dodger, and you're more confident throwing it into the middle of a strong defense like Ohio State for them to come up with that and finish it.
Yep, Jake Taylor has a different set of rules when you jam it inside to him. They don't apply to others. Like, is he open? If Jake Taylor has the stick up by his ear, you force feed him the rock.
Off the side of the cage for Simmons. Notre Dame wins the hustle play to the ball, keeps possession. They'll reset the shot clock to 60. Force pass and a goal! Pat Kavanagh finishes it off.
They're having some fun too. When you play offense and you're throwing behind the backs, guys like Dobson are spraying it from deep. Everyone's eating, Charlotte.
We talked about the hands of Jake Taylor, but the hands to receive a pass at that speed from his brother, to be able to turn the corner, switch hands, and all in one motion, get a quality shot off on cage. That is why he is one of the best in the country.
Yeah, and that is why you tell every young lacrosse player to be two-handed. Pat Kavanagh is a righty. He's had some monster moments the last 2 weeks with his left hand. His left hand is getting almost at the same level as his right.
His game winner versus Maryland was lefty.
All Irish in that third quarter. They shut out the Buckeyes, 7-0. Walland is under assault, whether it's Jake Taylor, whether it's his attack line mates, whether it's Griffin, Westlin. All Notre Dame through 3.
Flick of the wrists. Magic happens, Connor.
Pat to Chris to Jake. We may be hearing that a whole lot for the rest of this year if Jake can maintain his really meteoric recovery from the knee injury he suffered last year in the offseason, and he scores his first goal of the year today. And that is a scary thought for any opponent for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish for the rest of the year.
You know, I watched those highlights, Charlotte. It all starts, like we talk about the creativity and the improv, but it all starts with like the meat and potatoes, right? Like the one-on-one fundamental type moves in the matchup when you're attacking a defender. Like what's going through your mind when it's you and it's a defender, and it's a moment in time where you know you have to win that matchup.
You got to read their approach. How are they playing you? Are they backing up with you? Or are they coming out at you? And if they're coming out at you at full speed, that's when you turn on that 1-2 punch. You step to where you're not going to go to free yourself down the alley, wherever it is, coming around the crease. And the Kavanagh brothers, they just have a feel for how their defender is playing them. No matter how much pressure they're being given, they're able to get a shot off.
Wallen save number 12 on the day. Walker won the race to the ball.
Connor, when we see all the creativity too in Charlotte, I think what people don't realize is a lot of times they think an athlete like plans that just happens in like a fraction of a second.
Oh, it's all instinctual. I mean, you can't plan it out. You got to see how they're playing you. And if they're overplaying one side or they bite on your second step, that's what frees you. But you got to read and react, and you got to be quick about it.
Dobson wants to unleash that hammer. Instead, he gets it to Walker. Watch out here. Chris Kavanagh on a shorty, freshman island. Taylor loses it. Tries to get it back and does. 10 to shoot for the Irish. McCahon looking to dodge. Watch out here. Dobson fires. Too high. That was a moment of bravery for Cullen Brown, closing out on him. Charlotte, I want to ask you this with Clark there too. When you're playing, I know you're saying that it's that creativity is just instinctual, but isn't there also a little bit of this opponent is playing me a certain way so far this game? I'm setting him up. I'm setting him or her up on this shot, so that maybe later on in the game I can do something else that I want to do.
Yep, we've seen it with Dobson all game long. He's freed his left. Defenders adjusting to then set himself up to be able to fake that left plant and go to his right hand.
You do that as a shooter too with a goalie, right? Like you spray a goalie a certain way with certain release points, and then you counter on the third or fourth attempt with something totally different.
Board and nowhere to go. In front. Shot by Caputo. Deflected. Gets it back. Boyer relentless defensively. Dillon Magee will have under 7 to shoot. Myers is just going to have to fire it into the corner. Buckeyes will set up their ride.
This defense can take the life out of you, right?
Their ability to close the gap and space on the hands of the attacker is incredible. Their recovery, but not only to the space, to the hands of who's on ball and who's trying to receive passes on the inside.
They don't overcomplicate things. Kevin Corrigan's been masterful for over 3 decades with his defensive approach, and he keeps it simple, but he demands a lot in terms of the consistency and the timing of this defense, the way they communicate, the timing of the slides, the timing of the doubles. And Ryan Wellner, who's in his 4th year as a defensive coordinator, I mean, credit what he's doing as well. This is a well-oiled machine. We talk so much about this offense with the Kavanaghs and Dobson and Jake Taylor. This defense nationally is elite.
Simmons takes the defender to X. Tries to work goal line extended, shut off. Has Tevlin cutting, misses. Now Pat will put it in play on Van Buren. That has been an interesting matchup all day long. Try to get it to Gray. Taylor then tried to goose it. Buckeyes come out of there with it. Justin Shear, good to see Shear. He's been banged up too. The transfer from Maryland. We're gonna get a flag down here. It's gonna go against the Irish.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a slash on Gray, 17 and white.
So the Buckeyes have what is ostensibly a free play on this half of the field, awaiting the call. Let's see if they can generate something. White out of the box. This rope unit for Notre Dame has been so good today, all day. Now we'll get the call. Ben Ramsey, Nick Harris, Carter Parlett. Saw Jose Boyer has been all over the field. Slash against Riley Gray, so it'll be a minute. 1 minute man up for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, it's a good call. He's whacking away. I think the difference what we're seeing in these man-up units is Notre Dame has like the established pieces with an outside presence in Dobson, in the feeder in Kavanagh, inside guys with obviously with Taylor who'll be back. I don't see the outside shooting threat from Ohio State that makes you press and worry about the perimeter as much.
We saw it a little in the first half with Smith stretching the defense, getting quality lefty shots off, but haven't seen it a lot in the second half.
There he is waiting near side on the wing. Myers has been quiet. Now Shean trying to get underneath the defender. Chris Conlon, another great job getting the ball back for the Irish, and they'll be able to kill off this man down.
This is one of the most balanced, if not the most balanced Notre Dame teams I've seen over the years. I thought in 13 and 14 when they went to the national championships, obviously they had tremendous talent with Sergio Perkovic and Matt Kavanagh, superstars, obviously. But the depth of this team, Cotter, this team is different. Like, I think they are a legitimate national championship caliber team. When Virginia comes here in a couple weeks, it's going to be 1 versus 2, most likely. And it's going to be a pick 'em.
Dobson, forget about it. Fourth goal of the day, ties a career high.
Dangerous choice to leave him open on that lefty wing, but you see it's the dodging ability of these guys up top to draw the eyes of the defense. Again, it's too many threats. You got to slide to the dodger, but you're leaving Dobson open from outside on the lefty wing. He's always going to cash in there.
It's a great point because you have Kavanagh, Pat Kavanagh, 51 in white, starting his dodge. He gets a little bit of separation, but once he sees the eyes, rather than force the dodge and push through a double, he knows that Dobson's taken a few steps away to clean up his hands and to have an opportunity to plant and rip.
9-0 Notre Dame run here in the second half. And you heard the crowd here. We got a great crowd today at Arlotta. Paul, just imagine what this crowd's going to be like if it's 1 versus 2 with Virginia in 2 weeks. They're going to be climbing the walls here.
It's going to be unreal. And this place does a fantastic job.
Finally got one by Entenmann. Buckeyes break that long drought. It's Dillon Magee's 5th of the year.
It's the Texas boy. Charlotte North's home state. Dillon Magee played a lot of his youth lacrosse on Long Island, moved to the Lone Star State. Tremendous athlete, a high school football player down there, and he loves contact. And you saw him fight through that check, Charlotte.
You know, I know he's only a freshman, but I love his shake and I love his confidence in a dodge. You know, he's dodging at speed with conviction, and he gets to the middle of the field. I mean, that's the first one-on-one matchup we've seen them be successful in a little bit of time. And you know, I think Magee has some serious shake. They should rely on his dodging abilities.
He does, and you know what I like about a big physical midfielder is fight through the first stick check, right? Like, weather the storm, fight through that first stick check when you're that size.
You heard a big crowd cheer for Colin Hagstrom, backup Fogo, Notre Dame. Nice job winning that possession, goosing it to his teammate.
Cotter, we were talking about that 1v2 potential matchup as Griffin Westlin has the rock. This place packs it in. If the weather's nice and the students are in school, they're on break right now, that opposite side will be juiced. That's what I love about venues this size. This is the perfect lacrosse size.
Pat on Van Buren, just working it, can't get a great shot off though, and bounces it over the top. It'll stay with the Irish though. The hustle by his brother Chris keeps possession of Notre Dame. Just 20 to shoot. Virginia's a team that always travels well too, Cart. They'll be here. There'll be plenty of blue and orange, along with a ton with the students back in session here. A ton of navy and green as well. Wallen makes 2 saves. Shot clock, horn went off, but I think that got to Wallen beforehand, so it's irrelevant. Now it's a battle for the loose ball, which might be won by the Irish. It is. Pat Kavanagh, forget it. Just too much, too strong, too relentless on both sides of the field. That's the easiest goal he'll score today.
The play's never over when you're playing the Irish. Tevlin understands a relentless approach. Pat Kavanagh, he gets the easy one. The Irish are rolling and putting the nation on red alert.
Cotter, North, along with Carcaterra, all here at Arlotta, all Notre Dame, midway through this fourth quarter. Coming up next, Towson and Virginia. Q and Anish going to bring you this game, and you and I had Virginia at Hopkins on Tuesday. Very impressive.
Peyton Cormier was injured. His replacement, Patrick McIntosh, got his first career start. All he did was score 6 goals. He's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. They also have Connor Schellenberger. In the way that he operates and runs an offense, Charlotte, greatness recognizes greatness. When you watch Schellenberger, like, what's different about this guy?
I mean, he just, similar to the Kavanaghs, but he draws the eyes of a defense, and his dodging ability into his passing ability, second to none. I mean, he's dishing to guys like Dixon inside, and who has, you know, hands similar to Jake Taylor, but can catch anything and bury it, and that's lethal when you have that combination. And
he's a student of the game. I spent a full day with him a couple weeks ago down in Charlottesville. He approaches the attack position like a big-time college football quarterback or a pro quarterback looks at their craft, watching tape, breaking things down. And what I love about his game the most, he had 3 assists against Hopkins. He could care less about points.
Right.
He's never chasing points. And there's Camille. We've seen that now twice from him in terms of just getting out of position and losing his approach defensively.
Tevlin made him pay. There's that stutter step, just enough to get his hands free. No slide, beats Wallen.
I love this goal because I love the impact Tevlin's having on this game. I mean, you've seen it in games prior, but he is a true two-way midfielder. He's making plays all over. He's logged, like you said, incredible minutes in this game, and to see him have that shake, you know, in the fourth quarter of this game is impressive. And again, it's a dying breed, but I love to see that true two-way midi in the game.
You want to know how effective he's been in this game? Earlier in the game, we saw him with a long pole on man down. And when the game began, we saw him with bagpipes in his hands. I mean, you talk about a guy who can do
the jack of all
anything,
trades.
Right?
And he's attacking one of the better short stick D middies in the country. And Camille, 8 for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And the way that you attack a really good defensive midfielder, and Dobson did it against Camille in the first half, and then Tevlin did it, was the stutter, the shake, the change of speeds. Because if you flatline a guy like that and you just try to speed dodge, he's going to be on your hips the whole time. That little stutter gives all the space.
Again, juice goal, crowd's going nuts. Fulton Bayman joins the party. That's 10 different goal scorers on the day for the Irish.
More creativity here by Notre Dame. You see him increase his angle. He's at near goal line, but because he relies on the backhand, he's able to extend his hands out, wrap around, and make it almost impossible for Whalen to save.
The 2 players who have mastered that, Lyle Thompson, plays for the Cannons in the PLL, the Albany great, 2-time Tewaaraton winner. And actually Pat Kavanagh. Pat Kavanagh has mastered that shot. You have to be willing to turn the corner and take a hit if you're going to take that shot, though. Like that happens. Pat Kavanagh, when he takes that backhand, 9 out of 10 times he's on the ground.
This was a 5-2 game at the half, and it has been all Notre Dame in the second half, taking control early in that third quarter and never looking back. And this will end a 3-game gauntlet for the Buckeyes. Virginia, Cornell, and now on the road at Notre Dame. It's not like it gets any easier for them, because as we've seen in the Big Ten with Penn State, the way they've gotten off to a start this year, I mean, they'll play at Denver still, and then they start with Rutgers on the 26th at home. Timeout on the field. Teams will regroup at the 4:14 mark of this game.
You look at this stretch, Cotter, for Ohio State. It's like, when can we catch our breath?
Right. I mean, you got Detroit at Mercy on Tuesday, so on short rest. But then, like we just said, at Denver, that's a difficult trip. You don't know what the weather's going to be like there either in March. It's always crapshoot. Could be great. Could be snowing. And then you're right back. Now you start at home. It'll be a great Big Ten opener against Rutgers, who came back and won today. I think that game was in overtime.
Oh, against Princeton.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Princeton. How about Princeton? They're 2-3, and really, when you think about it, Their 2 wins are not overly impressive. They need a signature win.
Lost to Georgetown.
Yeah.
They don't have that signature win for sure. And the Ivies last year were so strong, but you saw Georgetown upset number 6 Princeton a week ago. That was a thriller. I mean, Charlotte, you broke down that tape beautifully in prep this week. Your biggest takeaway for the Irish a week ago down at College Park?
I think offensively, they can win any one-on-one matchup. Any 6 of those guys, they're attacking from different spots. Again, you see Simmons running the invert. You see Kavanagh score the game winner in his left hand on one of the greatest defenders in college lacrosse. And you know, that just shows their depth and their expansive toolbox on offense.
Yep, and Duke had that overtime win, but it took a Syracuse saving performance in the goal by Will Mark. 27 saves he had against Duke, and Duke hit 12 pipes. But Charlie, I think you're so right. There's so many players on this Notre Dame team that could win their one-on-one matchup. And for Ohio State today, rarely did we see the offense able to do that, win the one-on-one.
They were able to create a little bit with that pick game like we've been talking about, and they've been able to draw doubles and mismatches, but they're not moving the ball quick enough out of those double teams to then reach that backside, and Notre Dame's going to recover quickly as their defense does.
2 new players in goal, both teams making the change. Caden Johnson in net for the Buckeyes, and Alex Zepf in goal for Notre Dame.
You know, Cotter, Coach Simmons used to say in our huddles, if we were struggling offensively, he'd look at us at Syracuse. He won 6 national titles. Made it simple. One of you needs to win your matchup. That's what he'd say to us. One of you needs to win your matchup. And when you have 4 or 5, like you were saying, Charlotte, with Notre Dame, it's like, wow, it's crazy. But the pieces to this team, and I thought Charlotte touched on it a lot this week when we were talking. They have obviously the talented offensive players, but it's their two-way middies that I think separate. It's not just one in Tevlin, it's 2 in Quinn McCahon. They have 2 elite two-way middies, true two-way middies, like old school guys who do everything. A lot of teams have 0.
Awesome to watch the impact they have on both ends of the field, and I love hearing Coach Corrigan talk about them off field and talk about, you know, how they've bought into this system, how, you know, the transfer process has been seamless for them because of both sides of the equation, but these guys are so disciplined and they care so much about winning and being a good teammate, and it shows on both ends of the field for them.
Borda, good pass to White. Entenmann. Nope, check that. Zepf, and you can hear the crowd. We were at practice yesterday, and they were going through drills, and Zepf is a player favorite. He was in goal, and you heard Corrigan say, "No live shots," and all the players like, "Oh, good for you, Zepf. Lucky you."
Yeah, they're soaking it, the backup goalies, and it's all the work that no one loves. A goalie getting hit in practice when the game's really not on the line, like that is a thankless job. And Notre Dame has the top freshman goalie in the country on their roster, and Thomas Ricciardelli, rated #1 goalie in the nation. He's redshirting this year, learning behind Liam Entenmann, which I think is fantastic because the goalie position in lacrosse is like a quarterback. Like you have to assume leadership. It's more than just saving the ball. It's communication and running the defense, and he's soaking it in watching a guy like Entenmann.
And also, I think maybe that position, Clark, I might be wrong about this, but maybe you learn from your teammates as much as anything, because Coach Corrigan said, I just recruit great kids who are great players and kind of let them go. You know, teach them the fundamentals, but you don't want to get too into the head of a goaltender. They're a different breed.
Your roommate was one, right? Are you roommates with Rachel?
Rachel Hall. Yep, one of my best friends. She's a 5th-year senior at Boston College, leading that team down the right path this year, and I'm excited to watch her continue to dominate throughout this year.
I lived with one. Cotter knows my younger brother Brian. He's
talk about a different
out
breed.
of his mind.
Yeah, complete lunatic. Guy can cook though like crazy. Final minute of play here from Arlotta. It's been all Irish, 5-2 at the half. Second half, they really took over. Charlotte, it's been awesome, and we've really had a great time with you here today.
Oh, I'm enjoying it. Thanks, guys. It's an honor to be here with you both.
You crushed it. You've been obviously such an amazing player for so long, but what you're doing off the field and being an ambassador to the game of lacrosse in general, men's and women's, completely changing the way that people think about the sport. And for you to be up here with us today and breaking everything down and being part of our team, it's been an absolute joy.
Final horn sounds and our final score, 16-3. Notre Dame with the big W. Coming up next, more lacrosse. We got Towson and Virginia. For Paul Carcaterra, Charlotte North, and everybody else in our entire crew, thanks for watching. At HQ, take it away, guys.